Hello life science students, and welcome to part 2 of our basic body systems. We are going to be looking today at the nervous systems and digestive systems of vertebrates. What we have on our screen here is we have a diagram of a frog, as you can tell, and what we see is we see some of his nervous system portrayed for us with these blue lines. Now let's talk a little bit about the nervous system. The nervous system is an electrical system. And so it is going to be sending electrical signals from its sensory receptors to the spinal cord to the brain. The brain then is able to interpret those signals and send a signal back down the nervous system, back down the spinal cord to the different nerves to tell the muscles what to do. It is an electrical system, and one of the best ways that I've seen this demonstrated is with a series of dominoes, just flipping these dominoes, flip, 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 as the signal gets sent from one part of the body all the way up the spine. It just keeps signaling itself all the way up to the brain. We'll demonstrate that a little bit in class. The brain is an electrical system also. It's going to be working on these electrical impulses, and how complex is a brain? We really don't know. There scientists today are beginning to think that calculations that happen inside of the brain, that the determinations that take place inside of the brain are taking place on a quantum level, which is just beyond our comprehension. The ability of the human brain. Well, let's go ahead and dissect this a little bit and see what we have here. We have two basic systems. We have a peripheral nervous system. We have the central nervous system. Peripheral means extras. Peripheral means not the main thing. So other parts to the nervous system. And then we have the central nervous system, which is the main thing. The main part of the central nervous system breaks down into the brain and the spinal cord. Now that's going to be true of every vertebrate. We have the brain doing all of the processing. We have the spinal cord, which is the signature series of nerve receptors that is carrying messages to and from different parts of the body. And we'll look at that a little bit more in class with some other diagrams. The peripheral nervous system then breaks down into two other sections. And so we see the cranial nerves, which include the olfactory, or the sense of smell, the optic, or the sense of sight, and the auditory, or the sense of hearing. And so our cranial nerves, the nerves up near the head, are then the smell, see, hear. Okay? Smell, see, hear. And those are up towards the head, so they're the cranial nerves. Spinal nerves then go to the rest of the body and tell the animal what to do. The organism's reactions are really determined by this nervous system. Everything that it perceives through its senses, whether it be the sense of touch, the spinal nerves, smell, sight, hearing, all of these signals are sent to the brain. The brain then interprets those signals and sends a signal back to the muscles, telling the muscles what they're supposed to do. And again, all this an electrical system. This is where we're dealing with, as we saw on another video in class, that cockroach, where they're able to remove the cockroach's antenna, because those antenna are simply sensory receptors, and they're able to put electrodes down and attach those to the base of the antenna instead, and they're able to control the movement of the cockroach through simply electrical impulses. We're going to go ahead and scoot forward to the digestive system. Now I'm going to scroll down here a little bit so we can see more of the digestive system. In the digestive system, this is the part that's turning food into usable chemicals, into usable energy for our body, and we have many different parts of our digestive system. As we open up our frogs this week, we're going to be able to see the digestive system in whole, but let's talk just a little bit on how it works. We have the food, of course, that we eat, and digestive system really begins in the mouth. It begins with the tongue and the salivary glands that begins to break down food, our teeth, which begin to break down food and turns that food into a chyme, a mushy paste that begins to be dissolved by the saliva. As the food goes past the mouth down into the esophagus is basically a tube that's going to be taking that food down to the stomach. We begin to see the stomach digestion really being worked out here in the stomach. The stomach is more of a mechanical digestion. We also have some acids in the stomach that are working to break this food down. So all the way from your mouth to the stomach, what we're doing is we're beginning to break this food down physically and also chemically. The teeth, of course, grinding and working to turn that food into a chyme. The stomach is going to be grinding. It's very muscular. We will open those up and look at the muscles on the inside of the stomach in class. There's also that acid in there. You've got to be careful with that acid, and different people, if we don't take care of ourselves, if we eat certain foods, if we let stress levels rise too high, those acids are really going to do a number on us, and we can wind up with the acid tearing away the lining of the stomach wall, which is called an ulcer. We wind up with that acid beginning to come back up into the esophagus, which is called heartburn or acid reflux disease. And so we've got to be sure that we eat good foods and we manage our stress levels to help be able to prevent that from taking place. Staying in shape is going to help with that also. So our food is passing from the stomach, and what we see in our diagram here is we see some of these other systems that are involved in the digestive process. Now these other systems, yes, they are involved, and what they're going to be doing is they're adding things into this mixture that's coming from the stomach into the small intestine. Of course, this is just a crude representation here with a single tube for the small intestine. But the pancreas, liver, gallbladder, they're simply adding things to the mixture to help break down this food chemically. So we have the liver, which is producing bile. Now, bile is, again, a substance that's used to help break down fats. So the bile is a system that is going to be using... There is a phone call telling us we have a 2-hour delay tomorrow. Okay, let's keep going. The liver is going to be producing bile, which works to break down fats. That bile is going to be stored in the gallbladder. So as the liver makes this, some of it's going to be going straight into the small intestine, but the gallbladder is kind of like an extra holding spot for that bile. When you eat really greasy foods, when you eat something that has a lot of fat in it, that gallbladder is going to sense that fat. It's going to kick itself into gear, and it's going to put more bile into your small intestine to help break down that food. Now, can you live without the gallbladder? Yes, you can, but digestion becomes much more difficult of some foods. The pancreas over here is going to be doing similar action. It's going to be a smaller organ. It's going to be making these enzymes, and it's going to be releasing these directly into the small intestine, and those enzymes are going to be working to break down starches and proteins. So we have the liver, the gallbladder working together to break down fats, the pancreas secreting enzymes into the small intestine that works to break down mainly starches, proteins, and yes, also some fats. Now, this is the small intestine is all curvy and loopy, and you're going to see that as we open up our frogs. But they're also they're going to be digesting, they're going to be contracting, they're going to be working to break down all of this food. Now, we see the blood vessels attached, and the reason that the diagram has our blood vessels here is because our blood vessels are picking up food. They are picking up nutrients from the small intestine and taking it to the rest of the body. Now, anything that is not able to be digested, anything here that is not able to be turned into usable energy, that ATP that we studied when we were looking at the cell and cellular respiration, respiration. Anything here that is not able to be converted into ATP is going to go into the large intestine. The large intestine consists of undigested food, and the purpose of the large intestine is really a place to try to absorb the water from this undigested food back into the body so that you don't dehydrate. And so the large intestine is important this way. We can, it's working to absorb water back into the body. Now, can you cut out a portion of your small intestine and still live? Can a surgeon cut out a portion of the large intestine and still live? Yes, you can, but obviously digestion is going to be a little bit more difficult. After the food leaves this large intestine, it's going to exit the body through the anus. And you're familiar with that, right? So we have our digestive system. We've covered our nervous system. We have covered our digestive system. And I hope you have an enjoyable day.